In a vibrant village filled with colorful markets and joyful laughter, there lived a wealthy man named Emeka. He owned the biggest house in the village, decorated with beautiful artwork and luxurious furniture. Emeka had everything anyone could wish for: fine clothes, delicious food, and servants who catered to his need every day. But there was one thing Emeka longed for more than all his riches: love. Every evening, he watched couples stroll hand in hand, their eyes sparkling with happiness. But Emeka often felt a heavy sadness in his heart. Despite all his wealth, he had no one to share his life with. He wondered if anyone would love him for who he truly was, not for the gold and silver that surrounded him. One day, as Emeka sat in his grand hall, he overheard a conversation between two of his servants. They spoke of a young woman named Sika. Known for her kindness and beauty, she helps the poor and is loved by everyone. One servant said, "They say she has a heart of gold." Emeka's curiosity was piqued. He wanted to meet Sika, but he also wanted to see if she could love him without knowing who he was. He thought of a clever plan. Disguising himself as a poor blind man would allow him to discover if Sika was truly kind-hearted. The next day, Emeka began his transformation. He searched through his old clothes, finding a tattered outfit that would make him look like a beggar. He found a pair of sunglasses to hide his eyes and fashioned a cane to help him walk. Emeka practiced speaking in a softer voice and learned how to act helpless. With a deep breath, he stepped out of his grand house, ready to begin his quest for love. As he walked through the village, he held out a cup, pretending to beg for alms. People passed by. Some ignored him, while others tossed a few coins into his cup. Ajua was a very beautiful lady. Her skin glowed like the sun. She was so beautiful that she thought she could not see herself being with anyone else aside a rich man. As Emeka sat at the corner of the village market, where Ajua usually passed by to buy groceries, he grabbed her hand and asked her for money. Ajua quickly turned and slapped him. "Are you mad? Who the hell do you think you are to touch me? You dirty poor beggar." Ajua angrily left the place. Emeka felt bad as he kept quiet and sat down. But as he sat there, another beautiful lady caught his attention. Her name was Sika. Sika was on her way to the market when she noticed Emeka sitting on the ground, his head bowed. She paused, her kind heart unable to ignore him. "Why are you begging, poor man?" she asked gently. "You look so sad." Emeka felt a warmth spread through him at her words. "I have lost everything," he replied, his voice trembling. "I have no one to help me." Sika's heart ached for him. She sat down beside him and offered him a piece of bread from her basket. "Please, eat this," she said with a smile. "You need strength." Emeka was taken aback by her kindness. No one had ever treated him this way before. As they talked, he learned that Sika came from a humble background but had a loving family who always encouraged her to help those in need. Day after day, she returned to bring him food and keep him company. She shared stories about her life her dreams, and her family. Emeka listened intently, captivated by her spirit. Unlike others, she didn't care about his wealth. She cared about him as a person. As their friendship grew, Emeka felt a deep connection with Sika. She brought laughter and light into his life, filling the empty space that had once consumed him. But with every passing moment, he struggled with the truth. How could he reveal who he really was without losing her trust? Frank was a dark, handsome, and a successful young man. He held a managerial position in a reputable oil company. As he drove through the town one time, he saw Sika coming out of a supermarket. He parked his car and went closer to talk to her. "Hello, gorgeous. My name is Frank. May I please know your name?" "I am Sika." "What a beautiful name for a lovely princess. As I drove past the supermarket, I saw you walking in and I decided to come have a chat with you. You look so beautiful," Frank said. "Thank you," Sika replied. "Do you mind if I have your number?" "Sure." Sika exchanged numbers with Frank. Frank kept calling Sika day and night, trying to convince her to go out with him, but she insisted she wasn't interested. Sika made it clear to Frank that her heart belonged to someone else, and that person was Emeka, the blind man. Frank replied, "Do you mean that poor dirty beggar? Lol, are you kidding me? What is a beautiful lady like you doing with such a low life? Look at me. I am rich, handsome. What else do you want?" "I don't want your money or anything. It is Emeka I want, and that is final." Sika angrily walked away. However, one sunny Sunday afternoon, as Sika returned from the church, she saw a sight that left her speechless. She saw a very handsome man dressed in a beautiful clothes with a face that looked like Emeka. And the man was talking to Frank. She quickly hid herself behind a tree so she could not be seen. "What am I seeing?" she whispered. She decided to follow them as both men entered into a vehicle and drove to Emeka's house. Sika followed them with a bike to Emeka's house. She saw the two men enter into a beautiful mansion. She followed them as they entered the house and decided to peep through the window to listen to their conversation. It was at that moment she overheard them talking about her, Sika. Not knowing Frank was just a worker and a friend to Emeka, who Emeka used to see if Sika would fall for his money or not, and that he, Emeka, was never a poor blind man, as he claimed, rather a rich, successful oil mogul with several other businesses. Sika's jaw dropped as she hastily barged into the room. The two men looked speechless as they stared into Sika's eyes. "Emeka, really? I heard everything you two talked about. Why did you lie to me?" Sika asked, her voice trembling. Emeka felt ashamed, realizing the gravity of his mistake. "I just wanted to find true love," he replied, tears brimming in his eyes. "I wanted to know if someone could love me for who I truly am, and not what I have." Sika stepped back, her heart heavy with disappointment. "You should have been honest with me, Emeka. How can I trust you now?" Feeling lost, Emeka watched Sika walk away, leaving him alone in the spotlight of judgment. Frank stood there watching, speechless. Emeka felt regret wash over him. He had sacrificed the one person who truly cared for him. Days turned into weeks, and Sika no longer visited him. Emeka spent his time reflecting on his actions, wishing he could turn back time. He realized that true love required honesty and vulnerability. Dear viewer, please, if you are still watching this video and you are enjoying the video, kindly click on the subscribe button and help me reach 1,000 subscribers. Let's continue the story. One sunny afternoon, Emeka gathered his courage and went to Sika's home. He knocked on the door, his heart racing. After a moment, she opened it, her expression guarded. "What do you want?" she asked, trying to hide her emotions. "Please, Sika, just let me explain," Emeka said, his voice filled with sincerity. "I never meant to deceive you. I wanted to know if someone could love me for who I truly am. I am still the same person you cared for, even without the disguise." Sika listened, her heart softening a little. "But you lied to me. How can I trust you again?" "I understand," Emeka replied, lowering his head in shame. "But I am willing to prove myself. I want to show you who I really am, not just as a wealthy man, but as someone who learned from his mistakes." After a moment of silence, Sika nodded slowly. "Okay, but it won't be easy for me to trust you again." Emeka knew the task to regain Sika's trust would be a daunting one. However, he was prepared to pay it. And days turned to weeks, and weeks turned to months. But Emeka never gave up trying to work his way back into Sika's life. One early morning, Sika heard a loud knock on her door. When she opened to see who was there, to her shock, it was Emeka. Sika's heart jumped. "What are you doing here, Emeka, this early morning?" she said softly. "I love you, Sika. Please, forgive me." Sika could see how sorry he looked. It's okay. I forgive you. But there is something I still need to know. Why did you choose to hide your wealth and pretend to be blind?" Emeka took a deep breath, his heart racing, as he revealed his secret. "I thought that if I disguised myself as a poor man, I could find someone who would love me for who I truly am, not just for my money. But I was wrong to deceive you. I realize now that love cannot be built on lies." Sika looked deeply into his eyes, searching for honesty. After a moment, she smiled. "I believe you, Emeka. You have shown me the man you truly are." At that moment, Emeka felt a wave of relief wash over him. He knew he had a long way to go, but he was willing to do anything to earn Sika's love and trust. "Sika," he said nervously, "I want you to come to my place. This house means nothing without love in it. I want to fill it with joy, and I want you by my side." Touched by his honesty and sincerity, Sika's heart swelled with emotion. She stepped forward, tears in her eyes. "Emeka, I admire your courage and the love you have shown me. You have shown me that true love sees beyond riches and looks into the heart." In that moment, as they embraced, Emeka knew he had finally found the love he had been searching for. However, this process of finding love has also taught him a valuable lesson, that love must not be built on lies, and that a person must stay true to himself no matter what.